get at it. So now the second part to that is what I want to give you in terms of, let's say your child is going into college. What should they be prepared for in college? So real quick, understand this is a term that I just came up with. It's called the college minefield. M-I-N-E field, not M-I-N-D.
Okay.
M-I-N-E.
Like the explosive.
And if you
step on that mine, yeah. M-I-N-E.
If you heard of war and you've been in war, you know they have what's called minefields. So you have to watch where you step. Because if you step somewhere, it could blow your whole body up or blow your leg off. You heard about this. That's what I'm talking. So there's a college that I said college minefield that exists relevant to today. And I'm gonna tell you what these mines are as it were. So one mine is finances. So a lot of these young people don't understand the cost of college in and of itself. Tuition is one rate, right? That's one bill that your parents have to deal with. The other bill is books. They don't know about books and how much books cost. Now, Cal, you have to buy a new book for every semester. And now because it's got digitized, in order to get the digital version of the book, which is at one course, there's also a code now that you have to have with these schools. And the code in and of itself is $300. So you have to pay $300 for a code just for access to the digital book for your courses. So if you have 3 or 4 courses, that's 3 or 4 books, 3 or 4 digital books that you got to buy on top of the $300 code that you got to pay. So they don't know about that. The other thing that they don't know about, there's another minefield in regards to college tuition and, of course, meal plan. So if your child wants to go to college and live on campus, there's a meal plan involved. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you've taken vacations, you know they come at different prices. Sometimes if you go on vacation and you know you're not going to wake up and eat breakfast, then you do without that breakfast course and just deal with the lunch and dinner. Or if you do, you wake up and you know you eat breakfast every morning, but you don't eat lunch because you're going to be out doing so you just pay for breakfast and dinner. Whatever that variety is, there's a course associated with that in regards to college. So these are the 3 main things I want to share with you all in regards to that college discussion and those minefields attached to this college. So that's under the finances category. The other thing you want to deal with and share with your child that your child's going to deal with, and youth who are watching this, be aware of this and have this conversation with your parents, caregivers, and guardians. Family issues. So I spoke with Kyle about this in our discussion, where there was an article that I read. There were 3 young ladies who were academically prepared for their college, had no problem studying. They knew the work, they could do the work. They got in the college, great GPA, grade point average, 3.5 and up, no problem. But when they got to college, one got hit with that financial aspect of it. The mother didn't make enough money to qualify for a grant from the government, right? So they were only given a certain amount of money towards tuition course that I already spoke about already. But the mother had to come up with the other money to cover the tuition course. So halfway through the school year, I think it was after she finished the first school year, she wasn't able to come back because her parents' financial situation changed. So now she had to find a way to come up with that extra money just to return to school because the sponsorship, the grant wasn't covering it because of the financial situations of the parents. So you want to be aware of family issues. There was another situation where there was death in the family. So she was the person was dealing with a close one dying. I think it was a mom or a dad in the case of me. So emotionally, they weren't prepared. They couldn't concentrate for their courses in college. So as a result, their grade point average dropped. And then that affected their finances and whether they could afford schooling, right? So there was the family issue.
And to add on to that, even though it's supposed to get some type of bereavement, if it's legit, they're supposed to get the student is supposed to get some type of bereavement, acknowledgement, and time to grieve that won't necessarily affect their grades or whatnot. But
I'm glad you mentioned that because at the time of the article, or I think it's just in general, those bereavements are hidden in data. You got to find out where it is because the school's not going to tell you. Sometimes the bursar office, they're not going to tell you that. And if the student had enough wisdom to go to the bursar's office and tell them, my parents passed away or whatever, a lot of these young people don't know that. A lot of these students are in single family homes. where it's only their mother or their grandmother or their grandfather there. So they weren't given that guidance in high school. The guidance counselor in high school didn't tell them that, wasn't going to advise them of that. The guidance counselor in college wasn't going to tell them that and advise them of that, because it's going to affect their pockets in the schools.
I'm sure they went to an HWC. I'm sure they went to an HWC. They didn't go to no HBCU. I'm probably like 80% sure of that.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're dealing with guidance counselors or college counselors, and I'm trying to be as fair as I can with this, right? Who have a workload or a caseload of over 100 students, right? So they can't give that personal attention to all their students. And just keep it real, we're human, right? So we have an unconscious bias. We have a certain preference. So some students we really don't care about. Maybe it's the delivery of that student, right? Maybe it's whatever thing we don't connect with, or that guidance counselor don't connect with that student. So it's not going to be on the top of that student's mind to tell that student about that. All they know is you can't pay, you have to sit. I hear many times students have a hard time just expressing themselves, especially when it's in a situation like that, right?
We do. That's what I'm saying. We do as people. Adults don't know how to express themselves. So how you expect a child to express themselves? You don't know how to express yourself.
Like, and that's what the colleges don't count on. They don't factor in. This is a young person. They don't know how to articulate and express themselves in this situation that's going on, or you're probably not really listening. There's a whole bunch of factors in that. So yes, those resources are available, but then we have to put into consideration whether that student has the necessary guidance and instruction and how to go about securing that support. You understand what I'm saying?
Children don't raise themselves. You know what I'm saying? Children don't raise themselves. We keep thinking this lofty idea like, oh, they're 18 now, they're done. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because how society's created, society has created extended childhood, right? Meaning that certain things that were normally mature enough to handle in our parents' previous generations, as I started before, and again, I'm talking to the family, I'm talking to all of us. Just because your child is 18 doesn't mean they're grown. Your child may be 18, but they still may be functioning like a 14-year-old, emotionally speaking. Emotionally. There's some adults out here that's 50 years old, they still 18, man. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it a buck, okay?
Listen, okay?
I'm not even excluding myself. I'm saying that once you realize, yo, hold on, man, I'm 50. I'm not 50, but like somebody who's 50 years old, but then they still acting like they 18, 20. Like, dude, grow up. But what it is it's the lack of emotional immaturity. Because whatever issues, traumas, fears, or experience they had at that age, it has stuck with them for better or for worse. So then we expect our children who turn physically 18 to be, oh, you're ready to take on the world now. Go out there and be somebody. Like Chris Rock said, go out there and be somebody. It's like you have to still rear your children. You have to take responsibility for your seeds. Like people acting like they're 18 and they're done. No. Once you're a parent, you're going to always be a parent. Now, again, there's certain boundaries that you need to have. But just because your child is 18 doesn't mean that they're ready to take on the world. You still got to raise them and give them right. But again, if you didn't do that in their adolescence, and then you're not, and like Kayode said, now you expect to do it now and them to be successful, you'll be hard pressed. It's gonna be more challenging. It's not gonna be impossible. It's gonna be more challenging. Mm-hmm. And we have to take responsibility. But now again, going back to what Kayode is saying, the minefield, right? Being able to navigate that college. I had people who helped me navigate that, parents and other people outside of my family, right? Community. What is that? Being able to trust yourself, trust yourself, so that way you can trust others with boundaries. I'm not saying just, oh, I just trust anybody and everybody. No, have boundaries, right? Oh, I love hard, right? I love hard. That means you just don't know how to love. Right? You just put a lot of expectations on people and expect them to fulfill you. We don't even fulfill it for yourself. That's what I'm saying. Like, these are the things we have to unpack with each other. And what Brother Kayode is saying is, yo, the guidance counselor may not be able to have all the time. The guidance counselor can't do everything. Step in and be involved. Are you going to mess up? Are you going to fumble? Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. That's just human nature. We're gonna try. We're gonna fumble a little bit. We're gonna kind of stumble. That's just how the process works. Right? Fear failure, right? That's real too. Fear success and fear failure. But successful people have more failures than people who are not successful. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's all we're saying to you, family. Kayode's doing the work. I'm doing the work. So that's why we can get on this platform and talk our talk, because we walk in the walk, right? What did Migo say? Walk it like you talk it. Who's walking it like they talking it? Very, very few. Right.
So, okay, Cal, all right. So these are we're giving them the tangible steps, Cal. We're giving you I'm doing the best I can, right?
You drop it like it's hot for them, right?
But we can't make it right. We can't make it any more simple. Can't make it any more simple than that. And Kyle is giving that balance. He's letting you know, hey, this is what it is. So the last two is the college environment, right? So a lot of these inner city youth who are not academically prepared, unlike the three young ladies that I mentioned in the article that I read and researched some time back, some of these your inner city youth aren't even prepared for an environment such as college, especially a 4-year college. They come from the inner cities. They come from a local high school. We know this already, right? In their environment, people they know, people who look like them.
Peers, yep.
Peers, right? Who communicate like they can communicate, right? Who function the way they function, right? And they're going now in September, maybe August, if they're going on campus, now they're putting this melting pot of all ethnicities, majority others, right? Predominantly another ethnicity.
Right. They go to HWC, yeah, historically white college.
HWC, right? That's what because a lot of them people don't even know about HBCUs.
You know
what I'm saying? A lot of them don't. No, but I didn't know. No,
right.
I went to a high school in the Bronx. I'm not gonna mention the name. I'm not gonna put them on blast like that. But I went to a high school in the Bronx, and it was not one HBCU college that they referred me to. Right? So this is what I'm talking about. And my parents didn't know. My parents didn't go to an HBCU. So they couldn't tell me about HBCU. You had that benefit, Cal, because your parents or your brothers or your family, someone in your network, your support system, knew about HBCUs and how impactful they were in your life. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm coming from the north. I'm up here in the north. You understand what I'm saying? So we didn't have it. So that wasn't in the college that I was with, it wasn't on their list. You know it ain't gonna be on their list. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So these I'm talking to these parents who find their child, these children in that situation. You find yourself out of the options that they're giving you, that you think are the best options or the only options that you have. This is where you find yourself in, right? And it's going to be that dynamic. You don't know anybody. Nobody looks like you. Your whole lifestyle. The whole thing about you is going to be, I was blessed. Whereas my dad got me out. I was blessed. Not that my parents went to an HBCU, because I got to get some background to this real quick. But not that my parents went to an HBCU. My mother never went to college. My dad did. My dad went to college in California. So at least he had some college experience, right?
Right.
Not only that, my dad took me out of the neighborhood. He took me out of the environment. I went out of state, right? He took me to lectures. He took me to these different, my mom raised me, whereas I didn't see different ethnicities didn't scare me. I got accustomed to different ethnicities from when I was an infant. So it wasn't strange to me. So I always, my personal development encompassed all those things. Whereas when it came time, even though I was born and raised in the Bronx, in that community in the Bronx, I also went to parochial school. So parochial schools polished me with the shirt and the tie and the suits. So I had that element combined with the elements that I had growing up. So when it came time for me to go to college, I knew how to adapt. I knew how to adapt real quick. I knew how to make it work. And I was very quick. And I thought, you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But I'm wise enough to know that not a lot of young people had that growing up.
Right.
And this is why I come up with my video. So this is why I'm trying to expose them to the minefields of college. Coming from my background, having succeed, I can guide them and let them know this is what's in store for you that you want to prepare for. Because they say what they say, if a man can conceive it, he can achieve it. And to be forewarned, this is a powerful, this quote is a famous quote. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. So if you're prepared with the knowledge, you can move accordingly because you got that information that you can use to make informed decisions. That's key. If you don't have the information and you don't have the knowledge, you can't use it because you're not aware of it. is like fighting an enemy you can't see. Right? So college environment, that's what they need to be aware of. Parents, caregivers, guardians, prepare your child. This is the minefields they're going to face the environment. A whole new setup of things. They're going to meet different people, different environment. It's going to be foreign to them. And if they're not able to adapt and adjust quickly, it's going to distract them and affect their studies. It's going to have an impact on them. So just be aware of that environment that your child is in and cognizant of that. Again, because we're doing a live, I can't get this levels to this as well. And then finally,
it's part one.
Part one. And then the final part of the other minefield, not the only one, not this, there's more minefields as well, but I would say these are the major ones, is relationships. So keep in mind, parent, caregivers, and guardians, and you yourself, when you get into college, depending on how your parents raised you, there's not going to be parental supervision. You're now 18. This is what that post conversation is about. That I was
legally, right? Legally,
you're an adult now, so your professors aren't going to be on you to make sure you hand in your assignments on time. They could care less. They're going to hand you the assignment. In fact, in some colleges, and Cal can attest to this, I can attest to it as well, they give you an assignment in September when class starts, and they don't expect that assignment due until maybe November, before the end of the school year. They won't talk to you anymore after that. They're available if you have any questions, but it ain't no reporting to class, especially through this pandemic with the Zooms and stuff like that. Sometimes you get probably an assignment a month. They're not following up with you. They expect you to hand those assignments in on those due dates. And if you don't, that's going to affect your grade. And if you got into school on a scholarship, full scholarship, and that grade point drops just 1 point, they're taking that scholarship right back. Trust me when I tell you that. So you're not going to have, the point is you're not going to have supervision. They're not going to be parent supervision. You're going to be held to your own standard. That means you're going to have to know your time management. You're going to have to be responsible for your time. For those classes that you do got to show up on time, you're going to have to show up on time. It's
right.
On your own. The other thing is, right. And the other thing is, you're not going to, parental supervision, you're not going to be, what's the word? You're going to be able to have quote unquote relationships and bring whoever you want in your room when you want in your room. It's not going to be a curfew. It's not going to be a bedtime. So that means you're going to have to put yourself to bed on time yourself. That means if you got an 8 o'clock class in the morning, or in some cases a 7 o'clock class in the morning, and you don't get your behind in bed on time in order to wake up prepared enough to go to that class, that's on you. You keep your behind out all night, going to these frat parties, and all these parties at night. Another thing you got to be careful, these what are called, I forgot what they're, keg parties. You're gonna know about keg parties depending on what school you go to.
Which to be very real, let me piggyback on that real quick. Keg parties are mostly for white schools. I'm gonna just be real with you.
Yes.
HBCUs don't do no keg parties. We don't do that. Like there's other parties we do. That's white school. That's historically white college and university do the keg stuff. We don't. If I hear a keg party at a HBCU, I'm shocked. I'm like, really? Because that's typically what white school. I'm just being 100 with you. Like
we get into it, right? So the relationship. Let me finish that thought with the relationship part. So you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they stay over. So now you ain't got no parent supervision. So we talk about unplanned pregnancies now, right? We talk about sex, unprotected sex, right? So we talk about venereal disease and all that. You got all that is on you. Now that's your responsibility. Ain't gonna be nobody checking you on that. That can affect your grades. So I'm gonna let y'all know about that. The other, right? And then we talk about Kyle talk about keg parties, but in HBCUs, they're alcoholic parties. It's keeping a buck. But they drink that.
Sure. Yeah. We're gonna do beer drinking. That's not HBCUs. Like you know what's interesting? Just to add on to what you're saying, right? This to add on. What's interesting? I had to talk with this years ago. It's interesting how, and here's the thing too, is alcohol on HBCU? Yeah. But not in the way you think it is. It was an interesting dynamic in reference of African American Latino students going to black colleges and universities, historically black colleges and universities. The alcohol content tends to come later than when in school, versus our white counterparts. They do a lot of heavy alcohol, typically party which was just about alcohol, right? But then on HBCU campus, the alcohol consumption tends to ramp up after we graduate, or after we leave the university. It's a reverse.
Mm.
I didn't, to be very real, I didn't start drinking until after I graduated. But my reason was I came here to do, I came here for a purpose. I came here to finish. I came here because my parents sacrificed. I came here with a mission. And no one's going to take me away from my mission of graduating. No one. So that was the idea I came with. So I drunk later.
Okay.
Afterwards.
So thank you, Cal. But let me also touch on this part, right? And again, this is taking it from the perspective of outside of ourselves,
yes,
and based on observing. So I've heard you went to, I don't know if you want to mention your FISC, holla.
Yeah, I went to FISC College, FISC University, the illustrious FISC University, 1866. You know what I'm saying? The first university with Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society. We were connected to Meharry College, which produces some of the most Black doctors and nurses in the country, versus, I guess, Howard Medical, Morehouse Medical. Famous from the FISC Jubilee Singers. Jubilee Singers represent Music City, Nashville. They got the term Music City in Nashville from the Jubilee Singers, but I digress.
W.E.B. Du Bois. You forgot to mention W.E.B. Du Bois.
W.E. Du Bois, Nikki Giovanni, Marion Barry, Beyonce's dad, Mr. Matthew Knowles, David Levering Lewis. Yeah, come on, man. Don't play with me.
All right, so in that, and line with Kyle, gotta pick up his college, son. So along with college, right? So from your perspective, Kyle, you came in with a mission, right? That was a mission that you had, or have you? But and keeping it full scope, there are a lot of Black students who go to college, not necessarily FISC. We talk about HBCUs, various colleges like Hampton
Howard.
Howard. They are known, their reputation is known as party schools.
Yeah, they do party. I ain't gonna front. They party,
right.
But they get things done though. You know what I'm saying? Like they party. That's what I'm saying. We party. We can party, but we can also do business too.
But this is what I want to emphasize here, right? Yeah. The premise of the school, we party, we get things done, but that doesn't necessarily take on the priority of that student coming into that college. And what I mean by that is, whatever that student's priority is, or whatever that student find important is or indulges in, that's available for them to do. For you, your mindset coming from your background and your parents or what have you, you were mission oriented, goal oriented. But for some people who are coming from a certain background who weren't instilled that, right? It was just making it to college. They're easily influenced by what's going on. And if their parents or guardians where they came from, God, I'm just putting it out there, no disrespect to the family, but was an alcoholic, or they had those tendencies where they came from a family where, like me, I came from a family, my family, every weekend we get together and drink. But thank God I was reared differently. So as a young person growing up in that type of environment with family, when they go to college and they don't have that parental supervision, but yet the resources to those things are there, those, the alcohol and stuff like that, that's something that they may tend to indulge in, especially if it's peer pressure, right? So that's where I'm coming from with the Hennessy's and the drinks and all of that, because I saw that happening in a predominantly white college with Black students, where they sectioned off, they had a section of the dorm sectioned off where we would all be in a room, just Black, you can count on one hand, and it was alcohol on it, but I understand that's a priority of the white colleges indulge in that, not colleges, but I'm talking about the young person themselves. If that's available for them to indulge in, they will indulge in. And the other reason why I tap into that is also it ties into the fraternal order regarding fraternities and sorority and the hazing and all those things that's involved in that also, right? Where you talked about also in regards to that need to be accepted, or that need to be, want to, those 7 things that we have, it's a need, and we're going to fulfill that need.
Right. 7 that everyone needs to get. It's not a, oh yeah, I could, I want that. No, 7 psychological needs everyone needs, and they're going to find it somehow, some way.
And that college environment right after high school from underneath this parent supervision kind of lends itself to that indulgence is what I'm saying, right? Those psychological needs, 7 of them probably weren't addressed under the parental guidance in the home, right? Whatever that dynamic and situation may be. But in college, there are no restrictions, there are no restraints.
Yeah.
Outside, you can't kill, not doing anything illegal say. But
You're
I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying? And that's where that young person, male or female, male and female, if they haven't been instilled that guidance enough, right, from their parents, they're left to their own vices or devices, in which, because parents think once you're 18, you're grown. Like you said, that's not true. When they're left in that environment with that lack of supervision, that's where those 7 psychological needs they're trying to figure out and develop can fall prey to, is what I'm saying. Predominantly white college, predominantly black college is irrelevant in regards to that person's priorities, especially if they're misguided or haven't got the proper guidance. That's the point I'm trying to make. So those are the minefields in regards to college that I suggest, which are tangibles that Kyle and I will give you as we close this session out.
Indeed.
Part 1, that you want to be having with your child. These are we gave you the data. It wasn't too much data. We ain't dropped too much data on you. We dropped some data and some facts and statistics in regards to incarceration rate, the system that exists out here. And then we also dropped some data. I don't have the numbers or what have you, per se. As we delve into this part 2 and part 3, I'll bring those numbers up. Make comments in the field in regards if there's something that you wanted us to cover that we didn't cover. I'll go into the dynamics or the impact of the finances in college and the family issues in the college. I'll even share with you the article that I read, if you need to hear that. But these are some of the data, facts, and tangible that we're trying to give you to prepare you in regards to the topic that we had today that I think we followed through on, Cal, in regards to careless youth, a lost generation on the path to a dead end.
We appreciate you all taking the time to listen to us and have these conversations, because these conversations are necessary, and not just conversing just to vent. No, this is to address the problem, address the issue, and also offer solutions. So we offered a number of solutions throughout this episode, throughout this this talk that we've been having with you all. And again, this is an issue that is nothing new, right? But it's just us bringing it to the forefront again, because it hasn't gone anywhere, right? It's still here. COVID or not, it's still here. Whoever's president is still here. Whatever city you're in, it's still here, right? And we see it and we recognize it, but then we wonder what the hell is going on? It's like, this is what's going on. This is what's in front of us, not behind us. It's right here and it's in front of us. So you can either choose not to look at it and it continue on and get progressively worse, or you can choose to acknowledge your part in it and just do something. You don't have to be a teacher like me or like Kayode. You don't have to do that. Whatever your skills is it art? Is it government? Is it politics? Is it being an entrepreneur? Whatever that is for you, you have the tools in order to add on to the liberation of our children and ourselves, right? If you're not fully liberated, how can you add to the liberation of your children, right? Not our kids, right? Like I said before, I don't call our children kids. I call them children or youth, or you could call them your future. Right? The words we use have energy and a certain dynamic that allows us to be able to speak greatness into our youth, speak greatness into ourselves, because they're a reflection of us. If our youth are disarray, that means we're disarray, right? Because the youth don't raise themselves. It's as simple as that. But we have the tools. We have the energy. We spend energy doing other things. We spend energy doing other crazy stuff. We have the energy to do this.
As we close out, can you do some knowledge with our supporters, subscribers, those who are listening? Drop on them what you dropped on me in regards to brutally honest, brother.
Honest. Man.
No, hold on. Before you go. And the reason why I say that is because I think one of the key things, not the only, but one of the main things we need to be with our culture to start that healing process is to be honest. But when we're honest and it contradicts what we believe, then that cushion that we created for ourselves, we entitle it or term it, even psychologically, not realizing it, brutally honest. And you educated me on that term. So that's why I wanted you to drop that with the family, because it's that real talk we need to have as a culture.
Yeah.
Wake up and face and deal with our issues to really heal. But when we say something that's honest, and there are those who receive it the wrong way, to take on that term of brutal or negative connotation. So that's why I wanted you to. I had to give that preface, but that's why I wanted to say, can you educate us, Cal, on that term and whatever associated that term, brutally honest?
Well, thank you for that, brother. I'm educating, self-educating as well, and educating through elders and people who I'm learning from. So I learned this from them. So this didn't come strictly from me. This came from the elders and the people that I regard in high regard, scholars and elders who are about upliftment of our community and us as a people and culture. But it's interesting you mentioned that because I just recently saw a video with DL Hughley, and he said the same thing, that business and honesty are not cohesive. They're not together. But people put those two things together. And again, you don't have to be honest. Honest speaks volumes. You don't have to yell or scream. Honesty and the truth is what it is. I don't have to scream it to you. I don't have to yell it to you. It just is what it is. Now, how you deal with it due to your belief system and experiences is up to you, is up to I. Have I got screamed on? Yes. Have I screamed on people? Yes. Depends on the context of what it is. Anger in itself is not a bad thing. It just needs to be placed in the right manner. Is it righteous anger? Is it dutiful anger? If I do something wrong that's going to benefit, that's going to be the detriment of Kayode, physically, emotionally, mentally, he might yell at me because he's saying, hey, you're putting me in danger in these particular avenues. And maybe for you to snap out of it or recognize how serious it is to me, I might yell at you, but then it's not out of yelling. It's not yelling out of animosity. It's yelling out of, hey, man, I appreciate who I am and I value myself, and you're overstepping a boundary that's very important to me. So at the moment, I might be yelling at you, but then afterwards, I may relate to you, say, hey, man, my goal is not to yell, but is to let you know that is a huge no for me, right? That is a boundary that I'm not willing to go yet or ever willing to go. So when we talk about brutal honesty, honesty does not have to be brutal. Just be honest. The brutal comes from because you have felt, disrespected or disenfranchised or upset and angry about what someone did to you that may have been unjust. So therefore you feel like you have to carry that on and be brutally honest to people, right? Because you're in a state of depression or anger or sadness or tension or any negative emotion that you may be feeling at the time or have been feeling. You feel like because you're living a lie or you're lying to yourself all the time, or people expect you to live a lie or accept a lie, because you have not addressed that, you feel like you have to be brutally honest. When you're honest with yourself, you can speak truth or more truth. But if you're not honest with yourself, then it comes off as brutally honest, because you're brutal internally. You means you brutally outward.
To close it out,
Careless part, like I said, we have more coming. This is part one. So
part one. So careless youth, a lost generation on the path to a dead end. Kyle and I dropped some knowledge on that. Kyle already said we're doing the work. It's just not at scale. So we don't see it. We're just taking over. We're working on making it at scale. So with that said, with that fact put out there, then, and how Kyle broke it down, careless. How he broke it down, less care, right? In regards to where they at as far as their life or whatever, they don't care to a large extent. It's less care. Not that they don't care, but it's less care, like Kyle put it very good. In regards to a lost generation on the path to a dead end, they're not lost, they're just misguided. And if they're misguided, you got to look at the source, you got to look at the root, right? It's something that we're not doing, because kids don't raise themselves. That's the point that Kyle brought. So if they're a lost generation one, it's something that we have to look at ourselves as parents, guardians, caregivers, mentors, or what have you, that we're not doing for this young generation. It's not entirely their fault. And as far as they're being on the path to a dead end, again, that falls on us. It's our job to guide them off that so-called path to a dead end to a more prosperous future. So that's the title breakdown that we broke it down. We stayed on topic as best we could. We gave some tangibles, and those are my final thoughts on the topic.
Indeed, brother. Thank you, family, for rocking with us as usual. This has been a great discussion. Very needed discussion, very important one, because this is something that we as Grand Rise Collective focus on a lot. This is part of our profession. This is our life's work, part of our life's work, And again, this is just something that we really need to constantly develop, and we're doing it. We're doing it. So for the work that we are doing, great. Pat yourself on the back, but we have more to do. We just have more to do. And again, the love is in the work. We love what we do. I love what I do. Kayode loves what he does. You know, this podcast is an extension of that, right? And we hope to develop even more as we go further. So we would love your support. You know, donations are accepted for sure for what we do. You'll know where your donation is going. We also have some gifts that are coming up soon. And we also have some gifts from previous podcasts that people haven't even taken advantage of yet. So if you're going to go back to some of those podcasts and take advantage of maybe some of those things that we offered, please do, because we have it in our cachet. And, you know, this is not just for us, but it's for all of us, right? So again, much love, much appreciation. Please like, share, subscribe for what we're doing. Please do that, because we love the fact that you all are here and that we're able to do this with you all. And on that note, you know, I wish you all well, right? Peace, blessings, prosperity. And typically we do the shout out, Kayode.
And let us know if you want a different ending. We'll do that too. It don't matter. But this is something we came with on the fly. So 3, 2, 1. Peace.